Okay, good morning ladies and gentlemen, folks. My name is Pekka Mikkola, I come from Cargotec, and this is Hari Prasad Parthasarathy. Hari comes from TCS, and within the next 20 minutes we are going to show or explain our journey towards the mobility, especially of course SAP mobility. We had a successful project with TCS, and now we want to explain how we made it happen.
Thanks, Pekka. Please.
But first, to set the scene, we come from Finland. I come from Finland. Company is called Cargotec. It's about moving things. Our slogan is "We keep cargo on the move," and we provide cargo handling solutions. Further on those, coming on next slide, we have 3 different business lines, business units: MacGregor, Kalmar, and Hiab. And we have more than 10,000 people, and our turnover is $3.3 billion. And we are listed in Helsinki Stock Exchange, Finland. And this is our partner, TCS.
Hi, TCS, as you all know, is an IT company. We're a 10 billion plus company. To be specific about the SAP and the mobility part, we have, I think as of now, developed 400 plus application apps, as we call it. We have 19 plus products on the mobility platform. We have 2,000 plus consultants who are in different areas of the mobility. On the SAP space, we have about 10,000 consultants. So it's sort of a vertical and a horizontal that meet each other. So.
Yes, and we have a quite extensive partnership with TCS already, started from the application management services, integrations, and now TCS helping us out in our global SAP program as a development factory supplier and main partner. Some words, who we are and what we do, what kind of solutions we provide and value to our customers. As said, 3 independent business lines. MacGregor providing solutions for ships basically, lashings, hatch covers, ramps, ro-ro things in the vessels. Kalmar product line, Kalmar business line, it's about moving containers. So it's been calculated that every 4th container moved anywhere in the world has been moved using the Kalmar equipment. So ship-to-shore cranes to unload the vessels, reach stackers, straddle carriers, shuttle carriers, terminal tractors, empty container handlers, these kind of solutions. And not to mention the software part of it, we acquired a company called Navis, US-based company. And Navis is the world leader provider of the TOS solutions, terminal operating system solutions. So basically ERP system for the port operators. And Hiab on road transportation, all kinds of cranes to trucks, demountables, forested cranes, tail-mounted forklifts, piggybacks as we call them, and of course the service plays a big role in each of the business lines. But moving towards the SAP, so Cargotec has undergone a major transformation when it comes to the structure, unifying the business processes, and also the system support for those. So we have a program called One that is in our scale a massive SAP program. We have delivered our solution now for 11 countries in Europe area. Now we're actually doing project in Singapore and Hong Kong. And later this year we are moving to US with the project team. The program consists of several sub-projects and the scope areas. And the front line, what we call this, is the customer-facing unit in the countries responsible for the order intake, new machine sales, equipment sales, service sales. That we are rolling out heavily into more than 40 countries. Then we have the parts, global spare parts solution, and the one project business. So we have a big crane projects, new build projects, refurbishment projects, and we have a project support in SAP for that as well. So that is the big picture of the SAP happenings, what we have around the Cargotec, and TCS plays a significant role there.
Yes. One important part of this program is the customer service part is not on CRM. It was historically decided to be on SAP CS. So that influences the way the mobility design has also happened.
Yeah, indeed.
Because yes, the new products on Cyclo or the other ones are always based on SAP CRM. But then most of the companies you have seen already have the customer service based and running out of their SAP CS. So we can also tell you here what it takes to go on mobility with your existing solution, for example.
Yeah, without changing too much the backend processes already in SAP, with the busy schedule and somewhat limited resources too. But case Sweden. So our rollouts were proceeding. We came to Sweden. That has already experienced from the legacy system mobility solution, but still how to deliver best of the breed customer solution with the country with long distances. So we have pretty much customers from north to south in Sweden, and it's a big country with long distances. How to do that efficiently and serve the customers well? So the answer is not that straightforward, but it comes within a package of three aspects. So it's not only the mobile application support. Yes, that's the core thing there. It needs to be there, but I would stress also the organizational point of view as well. The processes, they need to be well defined, but the streamlined organization means here that actually we have more than 100 service technicians out there in the field, and they need to be pretty independent that this turns out to be successful, and that's what we have done. So less admin stuff on the backend operations, and more independent service technicians with the well-defined processes and rock solid application. So that there we have a solid, good business solution. Few words about the benefits. So might be pretty obvious, but the quick response to customer requests. So the service technicians, they plan their work pretty independently. If they got a call from the customer, they don't need to involve the back office admins at all. So they can directly start to serve the customers, order spare parts to their service vans, and at the end of the day, invoice the customers. And it has turned out that compared to the other countries that are not using the mobile solution yet, so the turnover of the service order, so it has the time has decreased significantly. Let's say more than 60% compared, for example, to the peer countries. So
exactly, if I put it in days, in a country which does not have mobility solution but is exactly the same type of services being delivered on the ground, it was coming to around 40 days. But while in this model you have the service engineers on the road, and then you have service coordinators as a sort of back office. And now in Sweden with the mobility solution, it's gone up to around 14 days end-to-end time. So that's 14 days versus 39 days, more than 60% change.
Yeah, that's huge improvement in the cash flow. We really like that. And not to mention, of course, the inventory levels on the vans, they are much more accurate when you have the tool, how to manage those, the customer invoicing, so pretty comprehensive package.
Yeah, exactly. If I just add one other point to it, without the mobility solution, the architecture very simply was that there is the engineers on the road who then have to still be on the mobile but on the voice to talk to the service coordinators, who they instruct them to say, okay, place this material, do this here, now where do I go next? So it was all still the human mobile technology, but now they don't need to rely on anybody else, and they can have it checked for themselves.
That's true.
So the ratio between the number of engineers on the ground to the service coordinators, if we compare it, it was like 1:8 or 1:10 without the mobile solution. And with the mobile solution, it's anywhere, it crosses to 1:30.
Yeah. So in Sweden we have more than 100 service technicians, yes, and the admin is less than 10. But then, coming back to the mobile and the architecture and all that, so I guess somewhat a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, we were in the very beginning thinking that which way to go, and these were actually these blocks here are representing the cornerstones of our pondering and thinking that what should be taken care of. So the SAP backend part, it was pretty obvious that we should go as standard solution as we have in the backend developed already, because we had countries using the backend solution and we really didn't want to have a mobile solution to disturb those processes too much. The middleware, well, there was several considerations on that, but we needed a seamless integration for the backend for the SAP. It wouldn't do harm if we integrate other platforms using the same platform, but definitely it was we went the Sybase for the SAP support. That's for sure. Robust technology for the offline usage. It was pretty obvious that we need to support the offline scenarios. In Sweden, data roaming, it's not reliable enough. We are moving big blocks of the data around, and we definitely needed to have that. We knew from the very beginning that it would make the scenarios more complex, but we needed to have that. And the UI and device support, so the technicians already they have their Windows laptops there. We want to utilize the existing hardware. We didn't have a business case to replace all the equipment with the tablets or so. So we went for the Windows client, native client way from the beginning. Future will show then which way, if we need to add some other UI support in the near future, but yes. These were the decisions.
If I might add on specific areas about this, if you look at how much lines of code was required on the whole to make this project live, I would say it was like around 30,000 lines of code across SAP CS, the middleware, and the laptop at the end of the day. But then most of this, even if you see the volume is high, the changes that were needed to be done on the SAP CS front were quite less. So if I map it to the type of development effort, it's like a ratio of 1 for the backend, double on the middleware, and double on the front end, which is sort of 1:2:2.
Yeah.
So
quite good rule of thumb, actually.
Exactly. So that is how the type of changes and the development efforts that were required were. Yeah. And most of these developments were more for the offline usage, because it was about loading all the data, master data that was required into the laptop, what was required so that they can operate completely off.
Yeah.
So it was not to change any functionality on the SAP front, but only to load maximum of the data.
Yeah. And of course, we had to meet the deadlines for the complete rollout project, and we need to met the deadlines when it comes to the releases and all that. So there are pretty much constraints when you do the planning. So, middleware, Hari.
Okay. From the middleware perspective, the key thing was about offline capability. The service engineers had to be able to do practically all their operations offline, and then they can sync it up with the SAP system when at the end of the day or whatever. The guideline is connect at least once in the morning. It's better if you're able to connect also once in the evening, but once in the morning was a type of guidance that was told. When we looked at the offline mode, the data restriction is the biggest challenge. We needed around 300,000 records for the master data, the open items and other things which need to be synced up. When we initially saw that it was 300,000 records, it was a showstopper.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but then when we understood what are the key factors to be fine-tuned, the total time taken to sync up this 300,000 records was less than 5 minutes. And I'm not talking about GB of networks. I'm talking about a normal sort of a mobile
cable
thing that is somewhere in a remote area. So that was quite a good achievement, which means all the components have to be very optimized. The MBO was a design that was exactly used to cause the persistence to happen. In this particular model, one important consideration is you have the SAP, you have your middleware, and then you have the front end. Usually in scenarios what happens is you say that the SAP data is synced to the middleware about 1 hour each or in every 6 hours, and then the middleware becomes a data giver to the front end. The speed between these two are quite efficient because the MBO is exactly designed to deliver this data. But in this situation, we looked at multiple options. We said, how soon should the SAP data be reflected on the middleware? Because that was quite intensive. So that's design parameter that needs to be looked out for.
Sure. Thanks, Harry. Then
Okay.
have a look on the project timeline. Beginning of the 2012, we had the architectural considerations whether to go for Sybase or some other platform. We decided to go for the Sybase. Then we had a SAP Finland helping us in the planning, the architecture of the Sybase, but also installing the hardware for us. So we didn't have in-house competence, and SAP helped out us there. Then we started the RFP round. So TCS one of the partners to join that round, and we decided then to go for TCS. TCS had the best offer, best quotation, and we selected TCS in the beginning of June 2012, and then we started the project and brought the project team into on-site in the Helsinki office and started to work actually.
Yeah. To tell you summary about the project execution, the total time to get the project developed and deployed, I would say 6 to 7 months. Once you have decided what technology you want to use and once the sort of infrastructure is put in place. There are some differences between a standard SAP project and the mobility project from an execution perspective. Example, the testing effort in this scenario was more than 20%. When I say this, it has two different facets. The first one is the different components which are present. When it is one monolith system, it was quite easy to test it. But in a mobility, you're talking about a whole architecture in place. So it increases your time. The second one is the user testing. Again, that increases the time because they look at different other aspects than just using it on the screen. Third, in the testing, we also found out what we cannot debug or find as mistakes. Because a service engineer is on the ground somewhere and he's doing a job and suddenly something does not work for him. He's not going to take a screenshot, send it to you and do all those operations. So when you find a defect, you also need to build in ways in your software to actually communicate to you on what is the exact error. Otherwise, he will be online only the next day. Yeah. So there is no way you're going to solve or efficiently help and connect to him. So the testing effort was more than 20%. That was one learning. And then from an effort perspective, I still told you that it's about a ratio of 1:2:2 when we talk about backend, the middleware and the front end. Third, the front end here is not exactly a mobile phone or an iPhone, but an laptop, as he also emphasized. It's important to know this because there is always a concept that mobility means it has to be an iPad or some other form of a rugged device. But here we are talking about a purpose and a solution to meet it. SUP still was the only way to meet this requirement because the whole business functionality had to be still done on the laptop without any connection to SAP, still following all the integrated rules of SAP. You can't create a service order without a material or a wrong equipment or nothing. The whole integrity still has to be maintained.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, we did that basically within a year, and I think it was a good achievement. And there's a lot of learnings to take place, but still we're very happy with the execution and how the project turned out in the end. And I have to mention here that the TCS was able to offer that as a fixed price project, so it was a safe bet from our point of view to take that offer and accept that offer. So we're pretty pleased with the approach. Then here the main functions, so it's a comprehensive package. Would like to highlight that we are using the SAP modules across. We utilize the standard BABIS as much as possible, and of course here is also mentioned the offline usage, which is the main kind of a cornerstone of the whole application.
Correct. If I look at the sort of top 3 business functionalities, I would say that the service order end-to-end is possible in an offline mode here, which means the service engineer goes to the place of the repair. looks at the order, checks up what he has to do, completes the whole work. He can take the technical report and the service report. He can't, if there is a printer, yes, he can print it offline because there's no internet connection required for printing. But yes, there is a driver for the printer that's required. Or he can email it across. The PDF of the service report is available right there. And even his time reporting, cost reporting, the travel, presence, absence, everything is done end-to-end. So all the things required for the service order is end-to-end available in this solution.
Yeah.
The second part I already touched upon is the time reporting. So that was the top key feature. Third was there were even few things which were not possible on SAP, but they were developed on the mobility, but still using the same rules and functionality of SAP. Example, the component level statuses or the service order numbering scheme, which was different from standard. So this would be the key processes.
And then last point of the presentation is the lesson learned and the key takeaways. So the architectural part, yes, it helps if you have the online the expertise in-house, but of course you can have partners, SAP, to help you, but I think to some extent later you need to have some understanding of the platform itself, enables you to make it, develop further and make the upgrades happen and all that. And as mentioned, the offline application, you could apply the rule of thumb 1 to 2 to 2. So the offline scenarios are pretty extensive to create and develop and maintain as well. But we needed that, and that's the case. And the mobile app, it doesn't change the human behavior, neither the business processes. So you need to put a lot of effort to the change management. And the software itself doesn't do the trick, unfortunately. And the project execution, I think the key thing was that we had a project team on site twice during the design phase and during then the testing phase, and it really made this happen. And that's basically it. Thanks for watching, and we have the breakout room here reserved if you have any further questions, so please join us there and we can elaborate things further on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.